Hey, morning. Cold day out here today. Too cold to really do any milling. I got to bring in some firewood. It's going to be, it's not going to really get above freezing for like the next 5 days. So I have some chores I got to take care of. I do have a little bit of milling to do for a customer that I'd like to do tomorrow. It's going to get up to close to freezing tomorrow, so I think I'm going to try to do that. Full disclaimer, the ground's frozen. I'll show you that. So if I fall down, you'll get to see it on camera. What I want to measure today, and I want to get it on video because I'm going to be coming up to my big 1-year review on the Norwood HD36v2 version 2. And as part of that, we'll be talking about accuracy and flatness of cut and smoothness and all that stuff. Dimensions on how big it will cut, the whole 9 yards. Well, I've run into a little bit of a issue that I want to measure today, and this we'll keep this as maybe we could call this part 0.01 of the year-end review. But it was something that I voiced my opinion on when I did my build video. You can go back in my videos and watch the build video, my first impressions of the mill. And that is something that Norwood doesn't address, and I certainly have come up with some ways in my mind how I could address it and how I could make it right. But we're going to talk about it. And what that is it's variance in between the bunks and the saw rail, the carriage rail that the saw rides on. Let me show you, I'll take you over here and show you for a second. And we're going to talk about variance a little bit. Because what we're talking about today is not specific measurements, but variance themselves. So, and we're going to measure this out and mark it. But let's define it first. The variance that I'm talking about, when you go through the instructions of building this mill, you put these bunks together with the side plates that bolt inside here, right up front. And then when you put the carriage together, the mill deck together, these go in, bolts go through them. You true up the carriage with a string. Once you get it true, you tighten it all down. Bob's your uncle. The one thing that's never addressed is the distance, because these aren't specifically adjustable. I'm sure there's slop in the holes enough to adjust them a little bit. That's something that we got to talk about, is how we're going to fix this, because let's just do this now. I have not measured this yet, but I can tell you wholeheartedly that when I do measure these, it's going to be all over the place. They're not even going to be close. I know that for a fact. And the reason that I know that is that they were never adjusted, because the height of this to this is never adjusted in any of Norwood's literature or anything. So just slapping these together and putting them in here, there's no way they're close. But what we're going to do today is we're going to measure them. We're going to come up with the best way to measure them, first of all, because I don't know exactly what that is. But let's just say if I use this ruler, it doesn't have to be any specific ruler. All right, well, that's good. So generally, and I'm sure it's designed this way, probably for forks on a forklift, the height of this over the height of where the saw carriage rides, and the saw carriage rides on this rail right here. And what determines, this doesn't determine the thickness of cut or anything. What it does is it determines where your log is sitting versus where the carriage is, and the carriage determines where the blade is. So if you can imagine the band coming through like this, the distance from here to here is static. So, and the distance here is static. So if this distance, the variance between here and here changes, that's going to change the thickness of your board all the way down. Now, the reason I'm checking this is I'm noticing that I'm getting thicker cuts down the end on longer pieces. A little bit, not a lot, a little bit. And I want to know if it's this distance, because you can't change this distance by leveling the mill. Some people might immediately say, well, you got to level your mill. No, this distance will not change by leveling the mill. This distance will only change by loosening this up and moving it, or loosening this up and moving it. And I don't think that this is a good option. I think this is the only option, that you'd have to just simply loosen the bolts inside here, and I'll show them to you in a minute, and then move it up or down. But the question is, are they close enough for government work? So right now I know it's basically 3 inches. It's probably designed that way so that forks on a forklift will fit in here without nailing this thing. And how big the variance is. The whole thing is how big the variance is. So what I want to do is I want to go down and measure them all and see how big the variance is. And I'm not really sure yet what the best way is to do that. There are a couple different methods. I'll show you a couple different things I brought out with me because I didn't really know what I was going to use. Hopefully my camera doesn't shut off because it's so cold. But so I brought a combination square. I brought a metal ruler because I figured it would be easier than doing with a tape measure. You could do it with a tape measure. I did bring a little wooden ruler, and this has an advantage over this, I think, because I can mark this with a knife. It's not about the measurement, so you don't have to worry about, well, the measurements aren't accurate on that. No, it's not about the measurement, it's about the difference between the measurements. So variance is what we're looking for. I think doing this as a one-person job, this might be a little bit finicky to use, but we'll try it. And then I think this is a horrible option, but for some people that just have it in their brain that's how you measure something, then so be it. You know, some people, you're just not going to change their mind. What I do believe is that there's no way that they're even close. And number two, I'm not sure that the variance is going to be big enough to affect rough cut lumber, but I want to find out if it is. If it is, if I do end up with one that's way off, I do want to fix it, and then we're going to have to go down that that rabbit hole of how to fix it, not the simplest way, but the right way. So what I want to do is I want to measure them all. Let me see what your view looks like, and I'll take you along with me. But so we want to measure off of this end bunk right here, because that end bunk is where we set our blade height. So there's adjustment on the saw head, and what we do is we measure from that bunk to the bottom of the bottom set of the teeth that are angled down, and we adjust both sides so that they're the same, and then adjust our scale on our mill so that the thickness between the bottom of the kerf and the top of that bunk is measurable on the scale, and it's the same on both sides, so that when you set it to 5 inches, you're cutting a 5-inch thick piece, which is off the bottom kerf of the blades, of the teeth. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that as our benchmark. We're going to go down there and measure it a couple different ways. I'll bring some stuff with me. I'm going to bring a Sharpie, a pencil, because I want to write what I come up with. Bring a couple different things down there. I'll take the camera down there, I'll take the level down there, and you don't need a level. You could just simply, clamp a straight edge, make it, oh shit, almost fell down. A straight edge would make it easier to do this by yourself, something that you could clamp on there, but it would have to be, you know, somewhat straight. So first thing we're going to do, we'll do this whole side first, I think. Because your blade is adjusted to this bunk, it doesn't matter if this distance over here is the same as that distance over there. Because right now my rails, put this stuff down so I don't want you to take this. This could be a controversial video, so put this stuff down. I want to show you the bubble on this level right now, because right now my rails are perfectly level, even though I knocked this off my things the other day. So I don't know if I get the parallax out, but it's perfectly level. And then in turn, this should be, this to be real right would have to, I can't see because I can't bend over, but this would have to be perfectly level too, and it looks like it's pretty close without me holding the camera and bending over there. So it looks like it's level. You should, when you do this, you should level your mill just to make, but like I said, leveling your mill is only getting a reference point. Leveling your mill is not going to change the distance between the top of this and the top of this. So let's try a couple different ways of measuring it. See it by ourselves. So the first one that I think might be, oh shit, don't come on. I don't want you on, just stay off. No problem with the dial calipers. I always have to take batteries out of. I think one simple way would be to hold this on here, set this on the rail, and just drop it down to the top and say that is exactly 5. I'll show it to you. Show you what I get for a measurement doing that. So I'm getting 5.5 and a 32nd. Okay. Now it probably is supposed to be 5.5. Just telling you now, it's probably supposed to be 5.5. It's probably supposed to be 3 plus this is, oh no, it's a little over. It's a little over 2.5. It's actually 2 9/16. So might be something different. But anyway, we're going to mark this as, I'll do it one more time. So we want to keep this so you have some pressure on this, so it kind of stays where it is. Start with it long. We're going to set this up there. Drop it on the thing. I'm going to do it one more time because I think I angled it. Just going to drop it down so it hits. Lift it off. I'm getting 5.5 exactly there. We'll do it one more time so we get the best of 3 here. I feel like it angled again. So I'm getting 5.5 again. And I mean, we're not going to split 30 seconds on this, okay? But I'm getting it right at, you know, maybe a 64th under 5.5. So we're going to say it's right around 5.5. And I'll back you guys up. We'll go down this run really quick and see if we have anything that's way different. And I'll yell them out to you. There's no reason for you to be zoomed right in on me while I'm doing this, crawling around on the ground. Let's see where you're going to get the whole, all right, you get the whole view here. So we got one 32nd let's go down and we're going to check this side. I think the issue, what we're looking for is the difference between them, not what the exact measurement is. So again, I'll get it over a little bit. I don't want to slide too hard, but I don't want to slide easy. She locks right up. So let's do this one. Hold it here. All right, this one's plus a 32nd. I'll do it a second time. So it's 5.5, so it's 5 and 17 30-seconds. Same thing, 5 and 17 30-seconds. I'll do this one twice again, just really quick, just to make sure. I got 5 and a 64th, so right now I'm off the 64th. 5 and a 64th. I got 5 and a 64th. I got 5 and a half and a 64th. So that's 5 and 33 64ths. 5 and 17 30-seconds. So there's about a 64th of a difference between those two. That's not enough to even think about. Let's keep going, check it. Less than a 64th over 5.5, but it's over 5.5. I can see the line. About a 30-second, 5.5 and a 30-second. So I'm getting repeatable results within a 30 seconds. Same thing. All right, let's check this one. What I'm expecting to see down here is I'm expecting to see one have the variance be, the distance be smaller here by quite a bit. And if not, then it's something else. So like 5 3/8. Let's do that again. That's a full 16th long. Yep, it's a full 16th long, so that would make the saw carriage high. So that makes sense from what I'm seeing. Let's do it again. It's kind of hard to hold it. You could do a 30-second variance just in tilting this thing. Yep. So I'm getting a full 16th long here. That's could be a 16th. Show you. Oh, if I get it focus. It's even just a shade over a 16th. All right, so that would be where I'm getting that quarter thickness there. In other words, the relationship between where the saw carriage is riding and here is bigger by a little over 16th than everything else so far. So that could be where I'm getting my thick board ends. Let's try this one. Way. This seems to be like the best way to measure it right here. Even a little longer. Let's try another measurement. Let's see if we get it repeatable. Yeah, a full 8. Let's try it again. Make sure that I'm trying to keep this thing as not skew the test results here. Yeah, so it's a full 1/8 more, and that's consistent with what I'm seeing in my thicknesses. It's a full 1/8 more than an 1/8. So it's actually 8 before 5 30 seconds. It's 5:30 of full 5/32 more, unless you add the 32nd down there, and then it's like just an eighth higher here. So just for shits and giggles, let's do the other side. I'm going to walk you over here. Actually, I don't need to walk you over here. You can hear me. I'm going to go measure the other side just to see. We want to see if there's anything like outrageous. And you'll be able to hear me. I'm going to go down and do the other side. So I know where I'm getting my thickness variance here now. All right, so this distance here is higher. The saw blade is higher by over an eighth right here and right here than it is at the beginning, which means that these need to go down. This needs to go down. Doesn't mean that this needs to come up. It means that these need to go down, and I think that you're getting yourself into a world of trouble trying to adjust these if you decide to go that route. Man, it's cold. So let's see what this side looks like without falling down. We'll start down here for our benchmark. Hopefully we see consistent results, and that we don't have a ton of twist. Plus a 64th maybe. So that's good. That means that that's parallel in the same measurement as the other side. 5.5 and a 64th. Again, that's good because that means we're parallel here. Yep, 5.5 and a 64th. So these are parallel to the rails, and they're the same on both sides. It's like 3/32. So this one is a little high here, a little bit, about. So that was, check it again, just to make sure. Because you could have that much variance in this, just in the way that this metal thing seats on the top. Let's just try that one more time. It's getting clunky here. I'm not maintaining my pressure good because my fingers aren't working good. Full eighth right there. I just want to get this thing sliding good. Yeah, I'm getting full eighth. Try it again. Nope, 3/32. Same thing. So this height's a little high. Let's see what this one looks like. And rather than writing things down, I can always watch my video back, which is good about taking videos. Damn it. There's ice in there or something. You want to keep one finger on the back side. You want to keep it kind of loose so you can slide it. 3:30 seconds. Now let's do another one. Just double check it again. So it's a little high. It's a little less than that side, I think. Damn it. Same thing, 3:30 seconds. I'm just having trouble with that. I think I got some water in this thing and it's somehow, and it seems to be moving around a little bit. 5.5. 5.5, so it's twisted. So what I'm getting, I'm going to go ahead and write a couple things on here. This one's plus 5:30 seconds. This one's good. This one's like plus 1/8. This side's plus 1/8. And this side's, I'm just going to put plus 1/8 here, so I know to adjust that. And everything else is good. So that's so you got plus 5:30 seconds there. You got plus 1/8, plus 1/8, and plus 1/8. That is definitely less than a quarter the whole way down from front to back. Let me get you so you can see me. Actually, we're going to talk about variance here for a second too. Without falling down on this ice. Okay. Those numbers are our variance off of our benchmark. To fix that, you could either bring the first two up, but then you'd have to adjust your, you'd have to adjust your band, or you're gonna have to bring these down. I think these can come down, or you'd have to bring the rails up. Like I said, adjusting the level is not going to change that height difference. So what you need to do, I guess I'm not going to talk about variance right now because I went off in a different direction, is if you look at those bolts right there holding that plate, which is all that's holding that plate. You see right there. You would loosen those bolts and see if you can push that down on both sides, just with the slop in the holes. Now this one's simple because it doesn't have anything underneath it. These ones are actually bolted to the feet, so you'd have to loosen the thing on the foot too. But you'd have to loosen those 4 bolts on both sides to see if this can go down 1/8. And then you'd have to do the same thing on that side over there too. Loosen those 4 bolts. You'd have to just barely loosen these so it could pivot and try and drop that 1/8. And this mill would be nuts, it'd be dead nuts. For cutting height, for thickness of your cut. All that is thickness of cut. It's nothing else. It doesn't affect anything else about cutting. All it means is that the band, as the band comes through, it's the same height off the bunks the entire way down. Here's the thing about variance, and that is what you have to determine what you're going to measure off. So here's 2 8-foot levels. One's brand new, one's been in and out of my truck for a long time. They are both reading exactly the same, just sitting on these sawhorses. Now some parallax here, so I hope I can get it out, but that's it right there. These are both reading identical, over 8 feet. That is a big, big measurement. That means, for all intents and purposes, that both of these levels are perfect. They are both reading exactly the same over 8 feet. Here's the kicker. This is where you get into trouble doing work like this. This one is brand new. This one is very, very well used. If I flip this one over and I set this one on top of this one, and then I eyeball, no shit, it came out. I got this level to check this level because this level I thought was bent, and I actually did a video on unbending it. There was a bow in this level. Oh yeah, I can still see through, but it's very, very small. There was a bow in this level, and I got this one to check it. I can slightly see light through, but when I did the video on correcting this one, I got the variance down to 1/1000th of an inch measured with feeler gauges. And then I thought it got worse again just because I was checking the mill and I thought that I had some variance, but right now I can just barely see light through the center. It's very, very small. I guarantee it's still within 1/1000th. But let's say you didn't know that and there was light through the middle like there was with me in the beginning. It was almost like 9/1000ths bow in this. Still reading level, but there was like 9/1000ths bow. How do you check this? Okay, so let's take this one out of the equation for a second. How do you check this for straight? You need a reference surface that's 8 feet long that you know is flat. Nobody has that. You go to a machinist shop, how few machinist shops have an 8-foot reference surface that measures within, say, let's say it's 3/1000ths, measures within 3/1000ths over 8 feet. Almost no one. Is this flat? I don't know. How would I check it? The only way I can check it is to check it against another one. So what if this one's bowed this way? A teeny bit. 1/1000th over 8 feet is almost nothing. So you have to have a reference surface. That's one of the problems with checking these mills out, is what do you use as a reference surface? Because I can show you, take what I think is my flat one, what I'm using as my flat one, my designated reference surface. And I can show you right now, if I stuff it on my rail right here as my benchmark, and right now it is not level. It's actually showing that this end has to come up. showing that my end down here is high. Just a teeny bit, teeny bit, over 8 feet, not very much at all. But when I look underneath here, at that joint right here, change your view a little bit. Make sure that you can, you're not going to be, I could take you down and show you, but you're going to take my word for it here, okay? I'm crawling around the ice. When I set this across here, bridge 8 feet, with what I believe is a straight edge, my gap at this joint right here on my top rails, which are perfectly smooth, is a full 16th. This is a 16th low right here. Now, bringing up the leveling feet is not going to change that 16th. What needs to be done is these bolts on this rail need to be loosened, and that has to be picked up a 16th. So you have a 16th variance right here that's gonna show in your lumber. I'll check the other side, and that's been consistent. I had to fix those because they weren't even, and it looks like I either fixed them low or they ended up low afterwards. But I'm gonna check the other side because it was the same over there. If I had feeler gauges with me, I could show you exactly how much it is. But again, it's usually this joint. The joint's not sagging. The joint was put together like that. Now this side, this rail is perfectly level. And this joint's all over the place. I mean, this rail on this side is all over the place. It's low here. I don't even know how to explain what I'm seeing. It's way low down here. There's an actual bow in it. You know, that's weird. It's like there's something on it. Oh. No, it's high right there. Where's it tilt? Well, anyway, it's low right here again. Both of these joints need to come up a little bit, not very much, but a little bit. So that's going to cause a dip in your lumber too. These will cause a dip in your lumber because your saw carriage, as it comes across, that's static with your band, goes like this. So these are what I wanted to highlight because there's no adjustment noted in the building. There's no adjustment noted in them, but I know there's enough slop in those holes to take up, I think, what's down there. And the other thing would be to get you to change your view. Let's change your view a little bit here. The other thing would be if these rails were falling off. In other words, if that rail is dipped down, and if it was significantly dipped down, then you'd want to fix them in the rail. But let's check and see if that's the issue. So we'll reference this over 8 feet. We'll go right to the thing. It's not. It's perfectly flat. There's not even any light underneath this level except at this joint here. Where again, at this joint here, this is a 16th low. Where these two come together. Now let's just check the other side check the other side really quick. Make sure that these aren't just falling off. looks like it could be. There's a little bit of a gap there, not very much. Looks like this could come up a teeny bit, but nothing that's going to affect anything. So that's what we start talking about when we start trying to make these things perfect. Because what do you use is perfect. You know, you can string line, right? That's the old string line trick. Where do you string line from? Right? If you string line these, where do you string line from? What if the end of this rail right here, what if the end of this rail is an 1/8 high and you string line it? Then you could adjust the entire mill for something that's, this one point could be wrong. And that's part of the problem that you run into when you try to fix problems like this, is you have to kind of go with you need a benchmark, obviously. So we established a benchmark, which was the first one. What would happen, here's a good one. So I got into this one time in a production meeting for I used to erect big buildings, and we were talking about setting precast concrete on pilings and how to go in beforehand, before we mobilize the trucks with all the parts to put the building together, tilt wall panels and everything. Big, huge, massive beams and cranes and trucks. Before we mobilized to the job site, how could we go in and transit the job to make sure that it was close, so we didn't end up with a problem where we went to put in a tilt wall panel and it didn't go down on the mounting brackets, or the weld plates were too far off to weld to, things like that. And you start to get into theory here about where to start, because if you transit a weld plate and then you string, you know, one of the old time production guys was like, well, we just string line corner to corner. And I'm like, well, what if the corner's off? You're going to move every single plate all the way down, every single, you know, attachment surface all the way down. If the corner's off, one corner could be off, and then you're going to move them all. So again, if we had set that first benchmark and found out that's where it is, and every single one was 1/8 high, well, then you only have to bring that one up 1/8. So you have to be flexible enough to change your benchmark. So if I saw something where that could come up 1/8 and fix the whole problem, or tilt a 1/16 and fix the whole problem, that would be the simplest fix, than just adjust the blade to it. So what you use as a reference surface is really important here. What I'm finding out is that, hopefully you guys can see me. What I'm finding out is that it's way closer than I thought. The variance that I'm seeing is consistent with the variance I'm seeing in my lumber. And there is no procedure for adjusting these that I know of. Now, what I think would be the best procedure for adjusting these, what I think would be the best, would be that you would level your mill as close as you could get it with 8-foot levels. You'd level your mill first. Forget these. You'd level the rails, both sides, side to side and front to back, as perfect as you could get them. Then you would take your 8-foot level and you would go down to adjust these little seams and adjust them as perfectly as you could adjust them on both sides, and tighten everything down. So now you're not twisted, you're level front to back. You can use level as a reference. Then what I would do is I would use that first one down here. Can you see the first one? Yes. What I would do is I would get a piece of angle iron or something that I could clamp on here. I would make a block that's 3 inches or whatever I measured on this first one. I think it's 3 inches from the top here to the top of this. I would make a 3-inch block. And then I would go down. I would loosen this one. I'd clamp a straight edge on it, loosen it, set the straight edge on the blocks and tighten it. Then go to this one, clamp a straight edge on it, loosen it, put the 3-inch blocks in, get it so it's sitting, the straight edge is on the 3-inch blocks and tighten it. And then do the same thing here and the same thing here. So you'd be using this as your hard stop, your 3-inch block is your gauge block, a straight edge clamp to the top of this that's going to be clamped rigidly so you can loosen this and set it on top of the blocks. And that would get you way closer than you would ever need. I've only got a little bit of adjustment to do here, so I'll be able to do these, I think, by hand, just by loosening those 4, moving this a little bit, rechecking it. I'll be able to get it, I think, fairly close. What you want to do, if you can, if there's enough adjustment here, the way it is now, is that I would loosen 3 of them pretty loose, loosen 1 of them a little bit, and try to tap it down until I hit my mark, or as close as I could get. I have a feeling these are going to end up going all the way to the bottom of what there is for slop in there. I don't know how much slop there is, but we'll see at some point. But it's a cold day and I can't really do a whole lot, so I wanted to pump a video out. So I think that this is important because we get into that, especially new mill people, and people new to sawing start to get into that. They're used to cutting on table saws and band saws and using fences and things like that, and they don't really know what acceptable variance is. They just know when they cut a piece of lumber, you know, either their band's not sharp or their feed rate sucks, and they get waves and they start to go down these rabbit holes of what's causing it. And once you try to work through all the problems, if you still get variance, where do you go? And there is some variance here. It's well less than a quarter. Most sawyers that you'll talk to will tell you that in rough sawn lumber, quarter variance is the benchmark. This mill's within a quarter, front to back. This is going to cut lumber, and I am selling lumber to customers, and some very expensive hardwood lumber too. And all my lumber coming off here is going to come out within a quarter, unless I have a dull band and I'm cutting waves because of either feed rate or a dull band, or band tension. Other than that, the mill itself cuts within what any sawyer is going to tell you is acceptable variance, being within a 1/4 inch variance from front to back. It's less than a quarter. You know, it's you know, max 5/32. Just this one, I don't like it because it's twisted. This corner's 5/32 high. That corner's good. So this one's actually twisted. Let me see what we got for time on this video, since I always get long. Maybe we'll try to drop that. We're at 49 minutes. Let me see if I can drop that. Might as well make it an hour, huh? We do everything in hours here. See if I can drop that side. I think those are 3/4, I think. 99% sure. Is that half drive? Oh, no, not this smaller than that. This smaller, 9/16. Aren't they? Yep, 9/16. So, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make a pencil mark. I know this needs to drop 5/32, so I'm going to make a pencil mark where it is. right? I'm going to come up approximately 5 to 30 seconds. And being a woodworker, trust me, I can do that. I'm going to make a mark. This is just going to tell me if it moves. We're going to loosen this thing on this side, and we're going to crack them on that side, but leave one just a little bit loose. 9/16 wrench. Same as 14 millimeter. 14 Mickey Mouses. So let's go ahead and blast these loose really quick. I'm going to keep some tension on them. Of course, we can get down into that shit get in our way. Let's see if it does drop. Don't want them too loose because I'm going to have to tighten them back up, so just want them kind of half snug. Now this side I don't want to fall, so what I want to do, I want this to be my pivot point because I like where it is, so I'm going to leave this one tight. I'm going to loosen this one. This one. Just get it just barely snug. This one. Just get it barely snug. And then I'm just going to try just to back this one off just a hair. So I should be able to take this down now over here. First thing we'll see is if it moves. Let me get something to beat on it with really quick. I've got to go in my truck without falling down on the ice. If I fall down on the ice, I'm going to tell you, so we can all laugh about it. I want to get a 9/16. This 14. Just make sure this is loose. If this doesn't work, that's loose. That's loose. That one's loose. That one's loose. So if this doesn't work, if this won't move enough inside this bracket, that would mean that I would have to loosen the plate on the inside. Let's just see if it moves in the bracket. Check the other side, just make sure I'm not too tight to shoot. It should move now. It should not be static. That's loose. That's loose. That's loose. All right, that one's snug enough to where it's not going to move, but this should still be loose. Let's see if there's how much play there is in this. Wow. Why? It's not moving. play in these holes. Let's remeasure it, see what we did. It does look like it moved a teeny little bit, not a lot. It's still a 16th high. Let's check it again. Let's try and get this. Yeah, still high. Still a 16th high. th high. So it did move. It's still plus a 16. And what that's telling me is that I probably have, I don't know if you can hear this. You hear that click? I have a 16th here, well, not quite a 16th, but I have a little here that this could come up. So this, definitely I can move this up and get rid of that 16th. So for right now, I'm just gonna slap it back down tight because I'm not gonna adjust them all now. Start on that side. That was kind of dumb. Come on, Chester. Go slam the other side down tight. This one over here, I can't do anything with. Maybe I could. Had the same thing again. And I'll tell you what I just found out too was when I was leveling this not too long ago. When I was leveling off of this bunk and then trying to adjust these feet, I was getting some weird problems where I would adjust it and end up with a foot that wasn't getting any pressure on it, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, it's because this bunk's way out of adjustment to the rest of the mill. No, wonder if I could go ahead. Make a couple of marks and try to beat this one down right now. So when you put that pencil mark there, you shouldn't see it when you're done. Let's see if I can just do this real quick, I guess. have. Knock this side down just a hair. Yeah, it did go down. Went down below the lines and it stopped. Let's bang it back tight. Let's check it really quick. Let's just go ahead and tighten these two and then check it again. I think it's going to be the same as that one. I bet it's going to be out of 16th. It's still an 1/8 high. Oh, that wasn't on there though. No, I was off like that. Nope, I got a better reading that time. I got it almost right that time. 16th. 16th. Keep it on there. That's almost perfect. It's good right where it is. Check the other side. Perfect. Exactly 5.5. That fixed that whole problem. Let's do this one while we're here. Double check it, make sure it's right. That my measurement's right, because I can see how I was getting bad measurements. Now this one's up a little bit, so might as well do it while we're here. Keep that. Let's tighten these back down. That fixed that problem. I can feel it move. Part about this is it adjusts all the way down, so it's not like the log's going to knock it out of adjustment. The log can only make it better. Okay, so those two are pretty much adjusted, minus me taking this little rail right here up a hair. And we'll go do the other one. This side's got to go down. Loosen it. loose. And we're going to want to do all but the pivot point here. There we go. This one loose. We're going to do this one first. Then we're going to just start. It's not like you can go down too far. From what I'm seeing, you can only go, it's going to go down as much as it can go. So let's see, beat this one down. Let me just check that really quick because it felt like it went a lot. Good. Perfect, 5.5. I think we're seeing a pattern here, boys and girls, and that is that you beat them down as much as you can go, and I think you're good. Let's just slam this bitch tight. So these are done. That one's still a little teeny bit off, but overall, the bulk part of my mill now is all good because I'm almost never on that bunk anyway. I still am going to adjust that one rail piece up a little bit, but that will get us within. That's going to get the whole mill within 1/16 of an inch from here to here. We get everything. Right now, everything down here is the same. Everything. The only thing that's still off is this one corner here is 1/16 high, and this needs to come up. I've got a little fingernail grabber right there. This rail needs to come up a hair. So we're going to call this a video. I hope you guys learned something. After I turn this video off, I'm actually going to bring that up. And I appreciate the watch. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'm going to title this probably question mark problem with Norwood Mill or something like that. I hope I explain things in a way that make it easy to understand and somewhat factual, so that we don't end up in that non-stop loop of oh, you could have done this, or you could have done that, or you could have done this, or you could have done that. I mean, I hope that I reason through my thought process well enough so that you understand and can see what I'm trying to accomplish and how. So thanks much, and hope you guys having a great day, and I hope it's not as cold wherever you are as it is here. I'm going to get that done, go back into the wood stove.